Hey, Freedom Team. Happy Monday night. It is the fourth Monday of the month, right? So we are talking about duplication tonight. And funny story for those of you who weren't on a minute ago, we were actually together this weekend at Brittany's house for a graduation party. And Michelle and I, listen, it doesn't matter what we're together for. We can be like, okay, we're not going to talk shop. And then before we finish the sentence of I'm not going to talk shop, we are actually talking shop. So Michelle showed massive restraint this weekend because normally she's the first one to bring it up. And so I broke the tradition and I brought it up first. But we were just brainstorming together. And by the time we finished 2 seconds of conversation, we're like, okay, we need to just bring this. This is what our teams need to hear. So we're excited to get to share with you guys tonight. And I am practicing a skill of being punctual and prompt and concise. So if you see me looking at a clock, it's because I have myself on a timer in preparation for convention training. So okay, what I want to start with before I turn it over to her is, here's a tendency. When somebody who has the level of success that I have gets on a team training call, sometimes your tendency is going to be to think that's nice for her. She's an expert. At this point, she's got this much experience, this much results. She's an expert. I'm not like her, can't relate. So whatever she's doing to get those results, even if I were willing to do what she's doing, I don't have that it factor that she has. So I can't get the results that Christina's getting. And I want to tell you a little bit about why that's not true. Some of you know this part of my story, some of you do not, but up until Diamond, every single rank I ever hit, I immediately fell back from. Every single one. I'm talking silver, gold, senior gold, ruby, senior, every single one. I never kept it. And I think that's significant because sometimes when someone gets to this level, all we see their story through is these rose-colored lenses, right? But my story, the reason that I am an expert now, the reason that we make jokes of, oh, well, Christina can just sneeze and a join will pop out, or Christina can just wave her hand and someone goes silver. The reason that that seems to be the case now is because I was willing to suck for a long time. I was willing to be terrible and awkward and below it. And sometimes I even literally would want to hang up the phone and pretend we got disconnected because whatever I was doing was so terrible. I'm not kidding. Once or twice that actually might have even happened. Like, I'll never see this person again. Let me just hang up the phone. So I say all of that to say, you can't want my success without being willing to suck. There is no success without suck. And I got really good at sucking. I just was really good at being terrible at it. I was a really good disaster on the way to sometimes figuring out a few things that I could master. So what I don't want you to do is tune me out and think, even if I were willing to do what Christina has been willing to do, I don't have the it factor that got her where she got. What happened, y'all, was I was willing to be so bad that eventually those failures just compounded. Like, no matter what, it takes up space. And so my failures just got big enough that eventually there was success. So please do not tune me out. I promise you, I am nothing special. This ring light is too bright and I can't read my notes. Okay, so I want to start with that. Why do you have to duplicate? Some of you are rockstar recruiters. Let's just stay there. That feels way more comfortable. I'd rather just recruit. At least I can control that. That feels like quick, satisfying. Like, let me do that. Here's the thing. You can recruit yourself to gold. You could even, and you ask me how I know, I recruited myself to gold. And then looked over at a sideline who had just achieved the same rank as me, except she brought several business builders with her. And I thought, interesting. I had to recruit all 20 myself. She did not. I'm playing the wrong game. So if you want your points to massively move forward, you're going to have to be willing to get somebody to want to do what you're doing. And it's going to start with what you're believing about this opportunity. So number one success indicator in any arena, whether it's riding a horse, water skiing, creating business builders, is the belief that it can be done. So the very first thing that you're going to have to decide to believe is that I can do this. If Christina can do this, and Brittany can do this, and Michelle can do this, I also can do this. I am capable of learning. I will do this. Number one success indicator. There's nothing that I can tell you tonight that if you're not willing to believe you can do it, will change anything in your business. You have to make the decision. The decision comes first. The behaviors change, that follows. The behavior change follows. The results are even later. But it all goes back to, when was the decision made? Okay, so you must decide. If you decide that you're going to do this and you're going to master helping somebody want to do this with you, you're going to have to decide that you no longer understand or agree with someone's objections. Sometimes, I actually had a conversation about this today. Someone will say, well, I mean, I know why she's not doing this. She's really busy. And I'm like, you just co-signed on her limiting belief. She's over there believing I can't do this because I'm too busy. And you just told her, I understand. You basically said, you're right. The difference between that thought and what I think is, I look at her and I'm thinking, she's really busy. Wonder what is missing from her life and how Plexus could fit that need. And then I look at her busyness as an asset. And I think, man, because you are so busy, I know that you are a queen at prioritizing and getting things done. I'm confident I can help you do one more thing. You already got all these other plates spinning, like you're in a good rhythm. I can help you add something to that. And I feel confident it would be worth your while. So number one, are you agreeing with or understanding people's objections? Guys, do you know someone's objection is just what they're believing would probably disqualify them from being able to do this? An objection is just whatever someone's thinking, like, yeah, that would be nice, except for I'm a stay-at-home mom and I have too many kids. Or that'd be nice, but I'm too busy. Or that'd be nice, but I can't sell anything to anybody. Or that'd be nice, but I'm really scared of what people will think about me. And the rejection doesn't feel worth the reward. So they're thinking something would disqualify them. Your job is to offer them a counter perspective. It's not to convince them. It's not even to change their mind. It's just to say, hey, have you ever considered there could be an alternative perspective here? What if what you're believing is not true? You're helping them learn to doubt their doubts. Like, interesting. Well, what if that wasn't true? Sometimes they've never had anyone love them enough to challenge their doubts. They have a lot of people that'll agree with their doubts and say, yeah, you're right. That's too risky. Don't do that. But they don't have a lot of people who will help them challenge their doubts. Okay. What do you do if what you want to do is understand, like, they are busy, like they're a teacher, it's the end of the year, they've got a lot of things going on. You want to believe and co-sign on their doubts, but what can you do instead? Well, number one, you can understand their potential. I had to challenge one of my leaders today. She said, well, I think it's just a busy time of year. I think that's why this thing is happening. And so I just said, okay, cool. Are other people noticing the same thing? Are other people getting the results you want to get? And she's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, is it the same time of year for them? She's like, well, yeah. So just me asking some questions helped her to realize, okay, well, that can't be the case. What must it be instead? Okay, so are you focused on believing in their potential and in the transformation that this could offer right now? The transformation, it could be a small transformation, is like, let's go silver and increase your budget by $300 this month. Is it believing in the transformation that an extra $1,000 a month? What would that bring for someone? Do you know, when you ask somebody that question, almost 100% of the time, when you say, I'm just curious, what would an extra $1,000 a month mean for your family? You can literally hear the audible sigh. Almost every time when I say, hey, what would an extra $1,000 do? They go, oh my gosh, like $1,000, that would cover tuition. That would pay for cheerleading. That would allow us to take a small vacation this year. You can literally hear them go, oh, $1,000. You can hear the sigh of relief that this opportunity would provide for them. That has to get you excited. Your excitement has to be bigger than even your own doubt. That is the antidote for doubt, is excitement and passion. Okay, so you've got to lean in and be willing to start doing the hard things. Michelle's going to go over several of her last new silvers and the hard things she had to be willing to endure. You're going to have to embrace the discomfort, because we're going to have you do things that you're going to want to say, next. on to the next part. So many times Brittany would say, Christina, you're going to have to get on the phone with these people. They're never going to tell you their objections if you don't. And I'd be like, what's your next option? Because I ain't doing that. I had all the reasons why I couldn't do it. I work a full-time job. I have kids I pick up in the afternoon. I had all my excuses. She didn't buy them. She didn't co-sign on them. She helped me find strategies instead. She's like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but what you're telling me is you're hungry for change in your business. You're hungry for change in your life. Is that right? And I'd be like, yeah, that's right. Okay, well, the way you're going to get there is by duplicating. And the number one way to help someone duplicate is connect on the phone so you can uncover their objections and cast vision. What do you need to change so that that can be a priority? She was willing to challenge my thoughts of, I don't have time. She'd say, what if that's not true? What if you might just have to sacrifice something right now so that you can prioritize this? What could you give up to make time for a 30-minute phone call? She would ask me questions and I'd say, well, I mean, I guess I don't have to watch Walking Dead live. Like we watch Walking Dead every Wednesday, but I guess I could open that time for a call and then I could watch the recording with my husband later. Like she helped me picture what the sacrifice could look like to prioritize the necessity of these calls so that I could get what I wanted. She made the sacrifice feel worth it to me. So you gotta be willing to get on the phone. You got to be willing to offer the opportunity to every single person, even if you don't know what to say, even if you're so intimidated by them, even if they're smarter than you, prettier than you, richer than you. Listen, Brittany's all those things. Yet here we are. It's okay. Like you can do this even if they intimidate the crap out of you. And sometimes you can even say, I'm scared to death to even bring this up, but I would be kicking myself if I didn't offer the other benefit of what comes with your account. Sometimes I just put that out there because then they find me endearing, right? Vulnerability is the best. Hold on. Okay. And I have 1 more minute. So here's what I will tell you. I have had at least 1 new silver every single month for the last, I don't know, 6 or 7, 8 months. Y'all listen, there's not a magic sauce. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person if you're willing to engage in a process. And the expectation has to be that you're willing to do it repeatedly. This opportunity comes with 8 to 12 exposures. Even if you get them on the welcome call, even if they say they're ready to go and do this, it's still going to require you to engage in a process. If we had longer than 30 minutes, we would break down every single facet of that. But you guys, the training is out there on how to duplicate. We have dived in, we've created, bit by bit, all the nuts and bolts of the actual steps to duplicate. It's going to start with your decision. If you decide to master duplication, you will show up differently, you will behave differently, you will learn what's required, and then you will solicit feedback on what you've decided to do. You'll go and do that welcome call, and then you'll call your upline and say, oh my gosh, I did it scared. Here's how it went. What could I have changed? But guys, it starts with a decision. So Michele, take it away on how you have created your last several silvers.
Awesome. Thank you, Christina. That was so good. And listen, I love what I think it was Abby put in the chat, leaning into that scary feeling and going for it, just like Christina said. Listen, right now, my heart is beating through my chest. Like I'm scared doing this. Okay. But I had to get to a point. I just wasn't willing to let my fears hold me back for fulfilling my destiny and getting my dreams and being a vehicle for other people to reach theirs too. So I was that person. I was a great recruiter. I just worked and worked and worked and worked and didn't progress. I rarely kept a rank ever until Emerald. And I did not have business builders. It was very hard for me. And what I had to do, my decision was I had to stop comparing myself to other people, other sidelines, other people that I thought had it easy. I needed to basically get busy on learning and building my belief that I could do this. And so what I did was I hyper-focused on learning the skill of duplication. I probably watched Brooke Hemingway and Brittany's and Christina's videos 80,000 times so that I got the language in me. Like I camped out on them. Even when I wasn't listening to them, I had them on playing in the background. I just decided that I was going to do whatever it took because to get where I wanted to go, I needed to create business builders, right? And so I hyper focused on the skill of duplication. My daughters probably could have recited the videos on duplication, because everywhere I went, I just focused on learning the skill of duplication and not looking to what this person was doing, not looking to where I wasn't measuring up here, but just deciding that I could learn this. I learned how to recruit. I learned how to retain. I was a homeschooling mom. I can learn this. So I hyper-focused on my personal development and my professional development on this one skill. And if that's you, listen, these team calls are great, but if you have an issue with duplication, you got to take more time to build your belief and hyper-focus in this skill. And that's exactly what I did, okay? And so what happened? I changed my thoughts. I could do this. This wasn't too hard for me. I could be a master of duplication. This wasn't a Christina thing. This wasn't a Brittany thing. This was my thing. This was a step towards fulfilling my calling, to reaching my goals and helping others do the same. And so guess what? I did it afraid. Was willing to get uncomfortable over and over and over and over again. And sometimes it's still a little uncomfortable if it's a chicken lister or someone that I greatly respect. But here's the other thing. Like Christina said, I built my belief in the opportunity so much that it wasn't just about the products. I know what we have is so priceless, because most people don't go to bed at night worried about their gut health. They go to bed at night worried about finances. Ask me how I know, because my husband has lost so many hours of sleep worried about what's going to happen when my parents run out of money, or, 3 colleges, or all of this. Like, that's real, right? And so I was just willing to get uncomfortable. So I talked about the opportunity with everybody and I took action. Here's the other thing that I learned. I couldn't do it through message. I couldn't do it through text. And honestly, I avoided getting on the phone for so long. I avoided it like the plague. But here's the thing. I wouldn't be here if Brittany had messaged me. She got me on the phone. She recruited me on the phone. She did not message me because I wasn't even on social media. It was all the phone. And so one of the things I've learned, because this is a people helping people business, is that connection means everything. And really taking time to connect with people, that's my sweet spot. And not being so concerned with efficiency and mass messaging and, just checking a box, but really considering, first of all, knowing who I was looking for, and then taking the time to connect and love them. Because here's the deal. My job description is to love and serve people well. And I can't do that quickly. Okay. It had to be connection. And so when I would get people on the phone, I would ask them the magic question. Okay. If you were loving these products, would you be sharing them? And then here's the second part of the question after they say, well, sure, I would. I remember when Brittany said this, it was like a light bulb to me. Here's the second part of the question. What would motivate you to share? Because here's what I was missing. I was assuming that as soon as somebody would say they're really willing to share, I was taking off running, giving them action steps, telling them to go make a list, and I missed them altogether. All I saw was a path. And I missed the person. I had no clue about their motivation, no clues about their dreams, no clues about their why or what this could do for them. So I had to start asking more questions. What would motivate you to share? And then depending on their answer, cast vision for what could be and should be, and then tell them what was available to them and ask what their thoughts were. Would this be a blessing to them? And ask them after I connect. For some people, it's just helping their family. For some, it's earning some more money. And then if it was earning money, some extra, well, tell me, what would you do with that money? What would that look like? Just learning to connect and ask and find out what this would do for them. What is their motivation? Because it's not a matter of them joining my team and developing another business builder. The whole goal of this is to help them reach their potential, and for this to be a blessing, the vehicle for them to reach their goals, their hopes, their dreams. So I just learned how to connect and draw that out of people. Okay. And then in the midst of that, I identified their objections. Like Christina said, give them a different script, determine their willingness, and base their actions on their willingness and goals. So let me tell you a couple of these scenarios. Okay. Hopefully that made sense. Okay. The first one is Carrie. Carrie was a single mom. And let me tell you, I first reached out to her in 2018. 2018. What year is it? It's 2023, right? Okay. So first reached out to her in 2018, and she was a cold market recruit. And I consistently reached out to her, 2 Plexus messages to 1 personal message. And I kept that connection up. I even got on the phone with her a couple times. And we just kept up a relationship. I do have a video on recruiting and following up personally, and it talks about the timetable and how to keep up personal connections with this person, with your people. And so in January, I'd kept the connections up. I reached out and she was ready. And so I said, okay, let's get on the phone. Because she said, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. So we immediately got on the phone. And then I asked her questions. I didn't just give her an action step. I said, well, tell me, why are you ready? Tell me what you want. What are you excited for? And she told me she needed the income. She loved gut health. This was the time. She had some life circumstances. She needed to make a change, become independent financially. And so I gave her the 101 video. I said, listen, this is going to give you, a great foundation. You may have some questions afterwards. This is going to touch on the foundations of all the major aspects of what you need to move forward strongly. Watch this video and then let's reconnect. She was eager because she was ready and it was her timetable. And then I had her make a list of people, and because she was wanting the income, we talked about a list for people, for the products, people that were open to the products. And then who would she want to link arms with, people to reach out about the business. And then I sent her sample messages. I coached her on questions, and how to follow up, how to reach out to people, how to use tools, like videos, testimonies. And because she had watched the 101 video, she had that base knowledge already. She joined in February and went Fast Start Silver the next month. Okay. So that was the first one. Number 2, Jeannie. I love Jeannie. Jeannie, I have an avatar. I have in my head who I'm looking for. And one of my empowering beliefs and one of my declarations that I say every single day is that I'm a self-motivated, kingdom-minded leader, attracting self-motivated, kingdom-minded leaders. Okay. Well, this woman, Jeannie, is 100% that woman. She is 72 years old. Not exactly what I had in mind for like my total dream teamer, but she's a self-motivated, kingdom-minded leader. I first reached out to her in 2017 and she popped up in my dough in March. So I reached out to her and she said, I can't believe you just messaged me. I've been thinking about you. It's my time. I'd consistently been reaching out to her over the years. Okay. And we got on the phone and we talked and I listened to her, and she had been involved in another network marketing company. I'd sent her information. I gave her, videos. She believed in gut health. I gave her testimonies of people just like her who have been helped. And I asked her the magic question, what would motivate her? And 100% helping people, and the income would help too. So, and we talked about her legacy. She said, I'm about helping people and I want to leave a legacy. And so I basically, because we were on the phone, I never would have gotten that answer from her had we not been on the phone, friends. You don't talk like that over Messenger. We connected heart to heart. It's like we had a Holy Spirit connection. We ended up praying together on the phone. It was absolutely beautiful. It was like she was my long lost friend. But she was hesitant. Okay. She was hesitant. She was like, well, eventually, but I want my own results. So she started taking the products. And then I reminded her about a weekend about the spa cards. And she's like, oh, how many people do I need for a spa card? 3 people. And so she was starting to get results. She wanted the money. She wanted a legacy, but she was still kind of, I need to know that these products work. And so I kept telling her, well, this is another reason why you're going to be great at this, because you're a person of integrity. You need to believe in what you're putting forth. And I respect that about you. That's why you're an influencer. And so I built her belief and I flipped the script of her objection, just like Christina said, and showed her, this is exactly another reason why you're going to be great at this. It's because you're a leader. You need to believe in what you're talking about and you have integrity. So I told her about the spot card and she quickly got 3 people. And then I said, well, you can get another spot card. She's like, really? So she quickly went and got herself another spot card. And now she just hit senior silver and she will probably double rank this month and be gold because we continued through the process to cast vision of what could be for her and the impact she can have on people. So that has been amazing, casting vision. And now she's double ranking. I've been helping her with her people. And that's been a ton of fun. Okay, now I'll tell you about Rebecca. Rebecca I met 2 years ago when we went to a summer Bible camp and we kept in touch. We connected on Instagram and we chatted back and forth. And then we got on the phone and I just built relationship with her. And, we would talk maybe once every 2 months or so. And I reached out to her about Plexus. And listen, I was shaking in my boots to reach out to her because I respected this woman so very much. But here's the thing. I will never forget Brittany telling me this. She said, Michele, don't worry about the outcome because what's the worst that can happen? You make a great friend. And I was like, you're right. But honestly, I was like, oh, she'd be amazing if she did this. Amazing. And I reached out to her about it. I mean, after we had built connection, and she's like, my daughter has a lot of issues. Please tell me more. And it took a long time. It took like 3 to 4 months to finally make a purchasing decision. But when she did, and we had been talking, we had been connecting, when she did, she told me over the phone, my husband and I have been praying for a family business that would give us freedom. And I cast vision for her. I had asked her about what she thought would she be sharing the products. I discovered, I gave her, when she joined, I gave her the 101 video. I discovered her why. Her heart was for her family business and freedom. I understood that through conversation we had had and rapport. She had tons of objections, but she was willing to talk through them. And I was able to relate and infuse her with belief that I had had some of those same objections and fears and continued to infuse her with belief despite the fear. I sent her tools, I sent her videos, I told her to follow some people that she would respect and looked up to. And then she has gone fast start silver and she's building and she's doing great. We are just about out of time, so I could go on, but here were my common themes. Number 1, I had to get on the phone with people. I didn't develop a single silver without getting on the phone because this is a people helping people business, and people, we're not after efficiency, we're after effectiveness. And you got to make it about them. Let them know what's in it for them. And depending on where they are, I gauged the action step based on their willingness to move forward. Was it just a spot card or was it making a family business? It really depended on their desire and their goals. And then I continued to infuse them with belief, continued to have conversation, give them action steps and hold them accountable to their action steps to meet their goals. And that's how I've done it. And I went from not developing any business builders, a very low silver development rate, to having, I think I counted in 18 months, I've only had 2 months where I've not had a level 1 rank up. So I'm not saying this to say I'm so great. I'm just saying I decided to learn some things and figure it out because there's too much on the line not to. And I know you can too. So hyper focus, connect with people, get on the phone, hear their heart, and show them the way. And you can do it too. Thanks, everybody.